Here's our beautiful Shawna Meeks. Yay! I'm so excited to
Hi,
hear
you
from
guys.
Hi, Shauna.
you.
Hello. I'm so excited. I always say if there's one person that I can help, I am all in. That makes my heart just feels happy when I can tell my story.
And you are doing it, and you're inspiring so many already. As I keep every time I see a comment that talks about you, I've been sending it to you. And well, I haven't sent them all to you. I should, but there's just so many, and your story I know is going to inspire so many. So a lot of them are already saying hi. So I just want you to start with, where were you before you started? We started a little over a year and a half ago. I'd have to go back and look at the exact date that you started.
It'll
Um,
actually be 2 years in April.
2 years. I knew it was coming up close. That's
Yeah,
awesome. You guys, two
yeah,
years.
yeah.
And you've been on a long journey. So I would love, I know we shared a little bit of where you started, but let's just go back to the beginning. Let's go over 2 years ago. And I know your doctor told you were in the perfect storm and all the things you've got going on. Where were you then? Who was the Shauna before you started taking care of yourself and putting yourself first?
Oh my gosh. Seems like a lifetime ago. I was unhappy. I did not like me at all. Year after year, every time you go to the doctor, it's like, what are they going to say this time? What are they going to say this time? The scale kept going up, which I think when you go to the doctor and you have to get on the scale, I think your blood pressure goes up for sure. So I was actually, so I was at that time, I was doing cardio. I was walking, I love to walk. I was walking 3 miles in the morning. At night, I was doing my elliptical. I was eating those weight loss frozen dinners that you get monthly. I won't say the name of it, but that's exactly what I was doing. And I was still just gaining weight. Every time I went to the doctor, it was more and more. You know, one of the last times I went before I signed up with you is I had gone to the doctor. I had been diagnosed with Hashimotos. I had an underactive thyroid. I was menopausal, but they didn't call it menopausal because, it hadn't been a full year since you had your last cycle or whatever. So I was right in that ugly spot where, they wouldn't tell me I was menopausal, but there was a lot going on. So she did. I said, look, I'm exercising. I'm not eating really bad. What's going on? And she was like, well, I think you're in the perfect storm. There was actually a time when they took my blood pressure and said, you can't leave. You can't leave because your blood pressure is sky high, and I'm not going to let you leave until we get it down. So I had to sit there and I had to breathe. All the time I was just still really anxious and really, scared of everything. So it was at that point that I decided I have to do something. This can't go on. It can't go on. So that's where I was the perfect storm. Of course, my anxiety was so bad. They were like, well, we could put you on a depressant, but that's just going to, slow down your metabolism or all this. And I'm like, come on, help me out, guys. But really, I mean, and it was just like, unless you want to go on more medicine. So I was really lost. I didn't know what to do. I always felt like if somebody could show me or tell me what to do, I could do it. I had gone to the gym before, but I didn't know what I was doing. I had no idea what I was doing. So when I saw your group, I was like, I got to give this a try. And I think on our first call, I was like, okay, I'll give it a try, but I don't think you can help me. I don't know if you remember that, but I was like, I was just lost. I was lost.
Yeah, and you had your perfect storm was Hashimoto's, underactive thyroid, high blood pressure. Am I missing anything?
Menopausal.
Menopause. Hello, menopause. How many of you guys are struggling with menopause? Put menopause in the comments. I think that's a lot of women. And if you have Hashimoto's, there's a lot of women that struggle with that. And I think,
Yes.
where do you mentally feel whenever you were told that you have all these things, like mentally?
Oh, I was lost. I think I drove from my doctor straight to my husband, crying my eyes out. I've gained 10 pounds. And he just looked at me and was like, you don't eat. How can you gain weight when you don't eat? You like eat like a bird. I mean, he was like, he didn't know what to do with me. He didn't know what to do with me, but I just felt lost and I did feel alone. And that's why I just want to help anybody I can, because I remember that feeling. And if I had known then what I know now, it would have been a totally different world for me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I love that you say that, because a lot of times our husbands, they mean well and they want to do anything for us, but they're lost too. They're like, I don't know
Yeah.
how to.
He's like, I don't know what to do for you.
I love it. And they don't understand us, and they mean well, but they don't get it because their bodies are so different. And we as
Right.
women, I mean,
Yes.
we obviously, have so much more to deal with. What do you think was that defining moment that you're like, it's time to freaking invest in me and get some help? Like, I need someone to just walk me through this, guide
Well,
me.
kids were grown. I mean, and I was kind of lost there. And I just didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the knowledge on what I needed to do. I was eating salads all the time. I wasn't eating nearly what I needed to eat. I was drinking Diet Cokes all the time. And I know that had to play havoc on my body. But, I was just trying to do what all the other people do. And I was comparing myself to other people. And I finally was just like, I have to do something. And I saw your group. I think I followed your group for quite a while. And then I was like, I'm going to ask her. We set up a call, and that was that best thing I've ever done. I have never felt so good in my life. I can honestly say that.
Oh, I love that. I love that so much. What, tell them a little bit about your journey, because it was not easy. And I know I shared yesterday that I'm going to share a screenshot of your calendar from the time you started, because it's so much consistency and it's beautiful, but it wasn't an easy journey. What has it been like?
No, no. I mean, at first, well, we started with the fit test. I felt so out of shape and so down on myself. But I learned that every day you got up and you exercised, you would get stronger and you would feel better. And, all of the ladies that struggle, when you have a night that you want to snack. I remember I went to my sister's birthday party in Texas. I don't know if you remember this either, but I packed so many protein snacks in my suitcase. It was huge. And, but you know what? As much as I set myself up for success, there was cake there. And I ate a lot of it. And I remember, I think I was working with one of your other coaches from before, and she was like, Shawna, tomorrow's another day. Tomorrow's another day. And you know what? You got to give yourself grace. You have to give yourself grace, because if I would have quit right there, what would have happened? Nothing. I wouldn't feel like I feel. And that was in the very beginning. So if you get very upset with, not being able to do an exercise, I remember being there too. That star plank or starfish, I don't know what it was called, but that thing threw me off. I just laid on the floor and just laughed at myself, because I'm like, why are you taking yourself so seriously? Just have fun with this.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I love Yeah.
And
So, okay. So you said grace. You had a hard time giving yourself grace and just celebrating yourself for the small things that you were doing at first, would you say?
oh, yes, yes. That was one of the biggest mindset shifts I had to make, because I am a perfectionist. I want everything to be easy, and I look back now after all the mindset that we worked on, and I'm like, I just have to laugh, because that just upset me so much. I felt like I failed, and it was just a learning experience. It's always just a learning. I learned to stay away from the cake.
I love it. Yeah. And drop grace in the comments if you're listening and you're like, man, I have a really hard time giving myself grace. I think it's a huge one for a lot of women. But giving yourself cake. Now, with that said, I know I'm throwing more questions at you than I said I was going to
That's
ask, but
okay.
I think it's amazing because you know, you can have your cake, you can have your pizza nights, and you, over these 2 years, we've never told you like you can't go out to eat, you can't do this, you can't do that.
Oh,
No, go
oh
enjoy those things.
no. And I remember several times like being at a restaurant and saying, Angela, what's my best thing to eat? Or, I can't say that I never decline going out to eat. It's usually for another reason, but I enjoy going out to eat with my family. And, you're taught that just know the next day you might be a few pounds heavier, but it's always water. And I've learned that that's exactly what it is. And no, life's too short to not enjoy all of those moments. And this group has totally taught me that you can be happy and live a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. And lifestyle is key what it is. So explain the version of you now. Who is Shawna now, and how's your world? How's your life? And how's it also impacted your family, especially your husband? Because I know
Oh,
remember
that's
him.
that's right. So another reason I did start was, so my husband he was borderline diabetic. His A1C came back and it was like 8, and I think that's pretty high. So his line of work, he has to have a CDL to drive, and if they put him on medicine, they'll take it away. So we were like, holy crud, we really do have to do something. And so he started sharing meals with me. We started eating right. It's down back to a normal level. He still has to, of course, watch what he's doing and all of that. So that has helped us so much, so much. So I feel good. He feels good. There's it's been amazing. And now, I remember in the beginning I really worried because all of the other ladies will work out in the morning, and I was like, I just can't work out in the morning. But I found that at the end of the day, after a rough day, I can go home and work out, and man, that is a fun workout because I'm just getting all my frustrations out. So yeah, so it's good, and the tracking, you get so used to eating right that it's never a diet. It's not a diet. It's just a
Right.
healthier way of living. And water, I never thought I would like water. I crave water all the time. I mean, I haven't had a Diet Coke in probably a year and a half. I mean, and that's what I lived on. So sugar cravings, once you stop sugar, I don't know if it's like this for everybody. Once I stopped eating sugar, I don't crave it anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty
And
amazing
change
what
up
you
the
do.
rest of your nutrition makes
Yes,
such a big difference on your cravings. I
yes,
love it.
yes.
And there's been points of your journey now, like you most of it is you track once in a while, or we to intuitively eat once in a majority of the time too,
Mhm.
because it's become a second nature for you.
Yep.
Shauna is one of the most consistent people that I've ever worked with. And she's put effort and she showed up and she's been so amazingly coachable. And with with that mindset, anything can change.
Yes.
Um, as you can see, she's pushing through her perfect storm. What if you, the last thing I'd love to ask is if all of these we have like 50 women in this group now. Um, what would be the one piece of advice you could give any of them in here listening that are struggling or they're where you were 2 years ago? Any piece of advice that you can give?
Mindset is huge. Still, after 2 years, I have to work on it all the time. That is huge. Give yourself grace. Don't be down on yourself if you splurge a little bit. I have a ton. Don't focus on what's wrong with your body. Focus on what's right with your body. That was a huge thing for me. I stopped obsessing about the Hashimotos. I stopped obsessing about menopause. I stopped obsessing, and I just really started focusing on how I could help those things. So that was the life changer for me, learning to love the body that I'm in and not wish it was something else.
Oh my gosh, I think you just hit mic drop there. We're gonna have to go back and quote that, Shauna. Like that was beautiful. You literally stop obsessing over what is wrong with your body and loving what is right with it and focusing on that. Oh, I
Yep.
think that can be. The best piece of advice anybody in here can take. We've all got things that are going on with our bodies that we absolutely can't control. And when we learn to accept that and love yourself right now where you're at along your journey, oh my gosh. And then mindset every day.
Yep.
If y'all didn't hear that, put mindset every day in the comments because it's so incredibly important. The question we got yesterday, like, how do I continue to put me first? That's how.
Yeah.
That is totally how. You've got to put yourself first. And if you can't do anything at all, you got to do some mindset work every day. And you do that every day. You pray, you read, you meditate. Like we've gone through different habits and you found what is working for you.
Yes. And another thing I do every day is put something positive in my ear. Like I have earbuds, and every day, if I take a walk, positive goes in. We don't have time for negative. We don't. Life is too short.
Yeah. That made me think of a reel. There's a reel out there that says, it's in a little girl's voice. She says it 3 times. She goes, I don't have time for negative today. Positive vibes, positive vibes. And it's the cutest little reel ever. And it's so incredibly true, ladies. Like we can't control everything in the world of today, but we can control how we react and all of the things. So keep that in mind. Oh my gosh, Shawna, thank you so much for sharing